All right, welcome everybody. Today I have my good friend Sofia Smallstorm. Say hi, Sofia.
Hello.
And we've had a long history. We met back at the time that the thing happened at that beachy school in Connecticut. During that incident, I got in contact with you, and we ended up becoming good friends. Do I have that right?
Yes, that's right.
Well, at least you didn't deny that we're good friends. That's good. And we our relationship. We did lots of research together on lots of different things. We worked with Jim Fetzer. We looked into the heyday of all of the big false flags and hoaxes. And then I've told the story, and all my listeners know this. I always give credit to the person that finally made me look at flat Earth. By the way, this is not going to be about flat Earth, this interview. We're going to talk about it right here. We're going to talk about some amazing stuff that Sofia has trained me on over the years. Health stuff, easy, inexpensive, and absolutely amazing. But we had a long conversation, and she told me, I think the Earth is flat. Like at the end of our conversation, and I couldn't believe it. And so I went in, as I told everybody, I went in to debunk it. I didn't go in to go, oh, maybe the Earth was flat. Let me check. Absolutely not. And I've told the story, but Sofia is the reason that I'm standing here right now interviewing you, interviewing everybody else. My life would have been totally different path if you hadn't done that to me. So I blame you and I thank you.
So, David, yes, I did say something that caused you to balk and exclaim and change your life path ultimately. And I'm glad I did that. I really am. I'm
Me
glad
too.
you've become a flat earth hustler. And I want to just mention that these things in my store, which really doesn't get enough attention when I do interviews, I'm allowed to make a little mention of this or that at the very end, and then I might get a flurry of orders or not. But the reason that David and I are focusing on this show, this type of show, is actually it could have the same result as my little flat earth comment to David all those years ago. The stuff I'm offering has changed my life, and it's changed the life of a lot of people. And I have gone to great lengths to curate and bring these products together and make them all very affordable and explain how they work and take care of my customers. It's very important to me to share what I've discovered. So yesterday I was at the pool and I saw this woman. I talked to her, and she lived in a Western state that's very hot. She was from an Eastern state. And David, she could barely walk. She had all kinds of pudgy lymphatic poofs and puffs in her legs, and she shuffled, and she was all like, her skin was horrible. She was a lovely person. And then she told me her age. David, she was 1 year older than me. And you would never know it looking at the two of us standing together. And these products and my exercise and, I don't eat like Fritos and wingdings or whatever they're called. But I'm telling you, I've been shocked for the last 24 hours thinking how easy it is for a person to pitch into decline just because they're ignorant.
I totally agree. And when I talk to people that are totally new to looking at alternative things, I love starting, and this is not something you sell in the store, but we're going to get right to that, is with the tilted bed. Just by tilting your bed to keep your blood flowing at night, that changed my life. And then on top of that, the water that I drink, the supplements that I take, and a lot of them came from the stuff that you taught me.
And David, you taught me the tilted bed. Dr. Mercola did a post on it, which I missed. I try to, at that time I was looking at almost every post he did. Now it's not everyone, but occasionally. And I missed that. And that happened months before, like 4 months before. And then you talked to me on the phone about it. David and I used to talk regularly, but now he's such a hustler, I can't get any time.
I don't think that's the case, but thank you.
It's all right. You're busy, David. You're really famous and busy. But anyway, so David tells me about the tilted bed. And I said, what? And I end up going to YouTube and looking at this interview that I think his name was Andrew Fletcher, a British engineer who visited the tombs of the pharaohs. And yeah, I can't sell beds to tilt, but you can tilt your own bed. But what I did was I ran to the garage and I got some books from a box and I put the stacks of books. It has to be between 5 and 7 inches, depending on how big your bed is. So I started with actually only 4.5 inches. And it was such an improvement. The next morning, I woke up and my feet were all toasty and warm, and my body felt like I'd just been in a hot tub. Not hot, hot, but like loose. And I thought, wow, I could actually go run a marathon right now. And that's the beauty of a simple thing. And you helped me
I
do it.
so I got it from Mel Fabregas from Veritas Radio, and I'd listened to it. I was driving home, and it was like 5 o'clock at night, and I was like, I have to do this tonight. And my neighbor across the street was doing some construction. I ran over to their dumpster, grabbed some 2x4s, propped up my bed, and it says, do it 2 inches for the first week, then go to 3 or 4 inches, and work your way up to 7 inches for a king. And I just went straight up. I went full first night. And that's how I am. I'm all or nothing. And the first night, it was like, wow, I'm tilted. I'm sliding. The next night, I was like, oh, that's not so bad. And the third night, I'm like, is it still tilted? And I sleep with that all year long. It's so easy to do. You can just prop your bed up. You can buy an insert for underneath your mattress. It's super easy, and nobody regrets it. And the one thing, and then we'll move on to other stuff, is when you're laying flat, when you're sleeping, all of your circulation just starts pooling. And that's where cellulite, happens from the non-circulating pools of lactic acid and stuff. When you tilt, it actually reverses that process and your cellulite will diminish or go away.
We have to make the distinction if anyone wants to try this. The original website that Andrew Fletcher put up is now gone. I'm really sorry to say, but it used to be called inclinedbedtherapy.com. Inclinedbedtherapy.com. You could go to the Wayback Machine and look for it, but there are YouTubes still up with him. You could look for tilted bed YouTubes. But the point being, I don't want anybody to not know this. It's not the foot end of the bed
Yes.
that you raise. It's the head end. You have to be at a 5-degree slope. So it's the head. And most people, when you tell them tilt your bed, they think it's the other way, but that's not the way to do it.
Right. And it's not like a Craftmatic bed where you're bent. You're on a flat plank, tilted. Queen bed,
Yes.
6 inches. King bed, 7 inches.
Yes. Full bed, you could go 5 inches, five and a
Yep.
half.
Yep.
So everybody, this is very interesting. We are here to give little gifts to you. And you could end up being a torpedo or rocket ship like David became about flat Earth if you just tilted your bed or did something like that, right, David?
You tell people about it, it changes their life. Opportunities open up when you change people's life. All sorts of things happen. So, all right, that's enough on the tilted bed. I love it. It's the number one thing I tell people to do first. Um, Want to go to sulfur? Because that one, when you turned me onto that one blew me away. So your website
Okay.
is tell them
First
your
one,
website. Go ahead.
avatarproducts.com. I made it my little I put it in place of my photo today so it could be drilled into your head. Avatar products, okay? So avatar, this is not the tech avatar. The actual definition of avatar is an individual who really espouses high ideals, holds high ideals. So, Jesus was an avatar, Buddha was an avatar. So, avatar products, I wasn't trying to be pompous. I just liked the word. It was one of those unusual words that people don't use all the time back then when I got it. So, avatar products is my store, and you're welcome. I'm encouraging you to go, and we're going to talk about a lot of things that I have in that store. And so on the health page, there are tabs. Here's home, health, kind of obscured by this little um, flowery logo, but sun and skin, body and posture, EMF remediation, grounding, books and music, household, art and prints. And on books and music, you can get my newsletter right here, Avatar Update. Cell phone shields, brochures and flyers, t-shirts. Okay, so listen, I believe that the square of health, if you want to be really basic, I put this design together. Iodine in one corner, magnesium in another, ion, which is this product that used to be called Restore. It's not a formula. It's a very interesting redox potential increasing product for your cells and your tissues. And I swear by it. I take it every single day. But you can start with any of these. They're a bit cheaper. Grounding. And then I added to this design, David, and I stuck sulfur right in the middle.
So let me tell you what I see here. I see the four corners of the earth, iodine, magnesium, grounding, and ion. And then the north, the center, the most important point is sulfur.
Yeah, it is the most important. Because here's the thing, iodine, magnesium, and sulfur, this triangle, these are essential nutrients that are missing from the soil. And we're not getting them in our food. If we had lived 100 years ago, they would have been in the food we ate. But they're not. And the reason for that is chemical farming. Because once you put the picture together, people really appreciate it more. So I'll do a little history here. After World War II, there were all these companies that were making these chemical products for uranium refinement. These companies like
Oh, you
they
cut.
had nothing to do. The war was done, over. So what would they do now? So they had to repurpose themselves. And they made a whole new horizon. They brought their products into our domestic lives, which means our homes and our farms, the food production and our immediate environments. And this is where we got all these bleachy chemical household things that have ended up giving people terrible allergies and even cancer. You know, DDT, the mothers were actually sprinkling it in the sandwiches of their children, if you can believe that. And they used to have trucks that went by public pools and they just pulled out a hose and they sprayed all the kids with DDT. And so these chemicals intruding into our lives have caused a firestorm of domino effect, bad. And then we had those chemical companies making fertilizers and pesticides for the food supply. So the result was that chemicals invaded the soil, destroyed the soil biome, and the plants, even though they grew up tall and strong initially, that was because they were being injured and insulted. And, you know, if I slapped you, David, you would pretend I was a guy, right? If I was a woman and I slapped you, you would say, "Why are you slapping me?" But if I was a guy, you would slap me back harder, right? So when you're injured, your response is you jump up, you do something about it. And biology is the same. So all this injury that's inflicted on crops is because those chemical companies had to have a market, and they've ultimately weakened the crops and totally destroyed the soil. And now we don't have real food anymore. We
So
don't have, yeah.
yeah, thanks for the backstory there. Um, there are people in this world, many that are listening, that have never even knew that you take sulfur or what it's like. So it comes in a powdery form. If you look at it, it looks like a bag of sugar, right?
Right, David. It looks like sugar, and I'm pulling out my sulfur flyer. So,
And
you know, I wrote a very ornate flyer on sulfur, and I did research for 2 months to understand the Earth's sulfur cycle. And this may not be the right place to explain all that, but basically, we don't have the, I'll say my new word is Ouroboros cycle of sulfur, the curled circular form, the breaking down and the rebirth of organic sulfur from inorganic sulfur. That cycle on the earth is destroyed. It doesn't happen the way it should. And that's why the sulfur is not getting into our food. But if you order sulfur from me, you will get this flyer and you can read it at your leisure and study it and enjoy your newfound knowledge. So yes, sulfur looks like sugar, but it doesn't taste like sugar.
And how do you take it? And then I'm going to tell how I take it.
All right, so sulfur is very powerful, as is iodine and magnesium. And if you jump in full feet, head, whatever David does, you might not have such an easy ride. So I recommend there's a dosage guide that comes with the sulfur. It's something that you could start with like a quarter teaspoon a day. And I just mix it with a tiny bit of water and I chug it down. And I've gotten to the point where my body appreciates it so much, I don't mind the slightly bitter taste.
And so I take about a good teaspoon, a full teaspoon daily whenever I take it. And I don't really like the taste. It's not horrible. Don't get us wrong. But if you mix it with orange juice, you probably barely even taste it at all. But I found out if you just swallow and have very little saliva in your mouth, you could dump it on your tongue, which your body's like, what? It's like you think like you're putting sand in your mouth, and you won't even taste it. Then just take a gulp of water, and it instantly disappears and goes down, and you don't taste it at all. Boom! I do it. It takes 2 seconds, and I'm on my way.
That's because you're always on your way somewhere, David. You're in a hurry. But
So
here's the thing. I just
good.
want people to know that the first sulfur I tried was actually many years ago. Somebody had recommended it. I bought it. I got these little white crystals. I didn't even notice that it was a bad taste. I just put it in a cupboard. I didn't think it was going to do anything. And I was a fool because I got more stiff and more creaky and cranky over those next, let's say, 8 years. And then somebody else, a customer of mine, asked me if I knew about sulfur. And I said, oh, yeah, yeah. And he goes, no, no, you have to try it. And he was so insistent, he sent me some. But once again, it was the crystals. And I really objected to the taste this time. And then when I researched sulfur to source it for myself, I found the flakes. And the flakes are the best. They don't taste like that. They're so much more palatable. They have more surface area. And the flakes that I sell they were pioneered by Bergstrom Nutrition in the United States. And then Bergstrom was taken over by Balchem. And they left the plant intact. And it is absolutely the world's highest quality sulfur. And you cannot get it everywhere. If you go online, you try to buy cheap sulfur, it's not going to be this. So I would say, please try your first bag with me and then keep getting it because you're going to like it. So
Yep.
what does sulfur do? Should I go into that, David?
Yeah, let's touch on it briefly because I want to get to some of the other stuff, and we don't want this to go on for 2 hours.
So one very important thing about sulfur is the molecule. It's called methyl sulfonyl methane. And it is let's say it is the little brother to DMSO, which is dimethyl sulfoxide. And we're going to talk about DMSO because I found a great source of that as well. But within the MSM, that's the sugary looking sulfur, within that molecule, there are double bonds from the sulfur in the center to the oxygen, which are north and south, those two atoms. And those double bonds make for really, really strong proteins. So once you start taking sulfur, you will notice, give it a couple of weeks, but your body becomes way more limber and loose. And I sent some sulfur to Jim Fetzer, David. He's in his 80s. And he told me his walks are so much easier just within a couple of weeks. He started to feel more energy and he was walking like somebody in their 60s or 70s as opposed to 80s. So you really start enjoying your physical capacity and life when you take sulfur, to say nothing of your digestion, skin tone, skin quality, hair. Everybody tells me this. Everybody.
Yeah, and for those of you listening, who love Amanda Vollmer, she's huge on DMSO, and sulfur, as Sophia said, is the little sister or brother to DMSO. One thing I learned, and I realized it, I was in New Mexico for the big part of the winter, and all of Paige and our friends, everybody got eaten by mosquitoes when the mosquitoes were out, which was quite often. I didn't get a single bite from a single mosquito in the entire time we were there. And that's because I'm taking sulfur every day. Mosquitoes hate DMSO and they hate sulfur.
Well,
so it's worth it just to get it for that if you live in a mosquito area.
I guess you could. I don't know. I have, we don't have many mosquitoes in Southern California, unless you live on a bog or
Well,
a creek, which I do. There is a creek below my house, but we don't have mosquitoes.
I mean,
But anyway,
I take it because it helps me with soreness. Just as Jim Fetzer said, I swim better when I'm taking it. If I don't take it, I'll notice it after time. And with what's going on with the GMO, Gates mosquitoes, maybe this is just another protection layer. Um, I'll never stop taking it. So there you go.
all right. So DMSO is very inexpensive. And it was Dr. Stanley Jacob of University of Oregon in the 1960s who really discovered DMSO. He was looking for ways to um, penetrate tissues and work on, well, there were people, they now pack organs for transplant in DMSO because the freezing point of DMSO is something like 65 degrees Fahrenheit. And sometimes my customers tell me, oh, I got my DMSO and it's all hard in the bottle. It's defective. I need to get an exchange. And I tell them, no, it's just cold. It passed through a zone that was under 65 degrees and it froze. So anyway, DMSO is a liquid and you can put it on any part of your body, basically, surface. It penetrates your skin within 5 minutes. It's roving through your bloodstream and it has its own agenda because it is sulfur. It is a relative to MSM, and actually what your body does is once the DMSO is in your bloodstream, it extracts the MSM from it. But the good thing about DMSO is it will start fixing stuff all by itself because sulfur is so structurally important in your body. And the Midwestern Doctor on Substack has done many, many posts on DMSO. That's actually probably the most thorough archive of DMSO that you can find today. And he says, or she, we don't know who it is, DMSO is one of the safest medically active substances known to man. He said, if I were on a desert island or knew the world was ending and could only bring a few things with me, one of them would be DMSO. So you just take a cotton swab, you put this anywhere on your body where you have pain and or an injury, it will start repairing right away. And they tell stories. Midwestern Doctor reported this. I don't think it's a myth or anything. A little girl had burned her hand really, really badly, and they dipped it in DMSO, and the skin started to come back pink within like an hour. It was like healthy looking. So it heals very, very quickly. And this is 100% medical grade DMSO. I get it from a family-owned business in Montana that makes things like bentonite clay, all the good stuff. And it's very cheap, very, very cheap DMSO. It's not expensive. Just about anyone could afford it. It's one of those things you really want in your bathroom or your cupboard.
I use it
So,
all different ways. I have a DMSO eye drops.
yes, but I would say you're going to need to look for real eye drops formulated with DMSO. Do not put this in your eyes
Right.
because even if you put it on skin, like I find if I put it anywhere on my face, because I had read that if you put some DMSO around your eye sockets, like little dabs of it, not in your eyes, around, it starts to improve cataracts and all kinds of vision issues. But when your skin is thin, like the skin around my eye sockets is not like the skin on my butt, all right? It's thin. The DMSO stings a little bit. And so you can dilute it. You can make a 50-50 dilution. So one lady said that she had all kinds of dilutions of DMSO to use on different parts of her body. And if it does start to burn, just try to give it a few minutes and then just rinse it off because it's already penetrated your skin. And one thing the Midwestern Doctor said, I shouldn't forget this, is that within an hour, DMSO has gone through your blood-brain barrier and is fixing damaged neurons.
That sounds good. I like that.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. All right, so I just want to show people, I have on my website, I'm going to go to the front page. So these are friends of mine. They are a company that has designed the best sitting support. If you sit a lot or you drive a lot, this thing blows everything else away on the market. Even Stanford University did a study on it and rated it as the best. So I have these on sale right now. So you're looking at the Ultra at the bottom, the black one. That is the monster. And I would recommend that for heavier people, people with more body mass, bigger frames. And it has this cut out area right here where the tailbone is. And that's really what produces pain. Because what happens today is that we incur sacrum overload. We sit in these bucket seats in our cars, and a lot of our upholstered furniture, all you do is sink down in it, and then your tailbone gets stuck. It's like this, the V of a vortex at the bottom of your spine. And your vertebral load goes right into that sacrum, especially if you have lost the S curve of your back, which is very possible today with people bending over desks and bending over their phones. Your back is supposed to be a nice, like Kundalini snake like curve, and people are getting C backs, and they are not S backs, S curve backs. So, what this does is it passively starts to retrain you to sit in a proper S curve. And the more you use the GC, I know people who have several of them, one for their car, one for their desk, one for their dining room chair. So they're on sale right now. And I encourage people, you try this out, you won't regret it. And my friends make it. Just about everybody who has anything on my website that I don't make is a friend of mine.
Sophia's store, tell me if I'm wrong, Sophia, and it's called Avatar Products, but it's the only store online that you won't be communicating with an avatar.
Probably. And it's me. I mean, I give something out for free with just about every order.
Yeah.
Bumper sticker or a sample of my laundry powder. Oh, David, you
Oh,
really like
so
that.
hold on. I want to get back to the health stuff, but I wanted to jump to the laundry powder,
All
right?
right.
So
Go to laundry
getting
powder.
that big thing at Costco of Tide, you don't have to buy it for months, and it's so easy, and you throw it in. That stuff is poison. It's giving you the C word. It's horrible. And Sophia's got this laundry powder. You got to tell us about it. It lasts forever, and your clothes are clean and they smell good, and they're good
Yeah.
for you. So tell about it, and you just get a big bag. Like I can't wait to order more, but I don't need me anymore right
I
yet.
know. So the laundry powder has four ingredients. It has soap flakes, which in this case are coconut oil, very lovely soap flakes. It has baking soda, borax, and washing soda. So what is washing soda? It's a relative of baking soda. You apparently have, I don't do this, but you can. Companies do it. You can buy washing soda online. It's a laundry additive and a household cleaner. It's baking soda with one carbon atom taken out or something. That's what heating does to it. So anyway, that's basically the formula. All natural ingredients in a particular mix. It looks like a little white powder. And I have a regular and a robust. There is nothing, weak about the regular strength. It does a great job. In fact, my mail carrier said, Wiley's wash soap. I'll tell you why I named it Wiley's. Wiley's wash soap is the only thing that takes the grass stains out of her son's lacrosse clothes. And so what happened was when I was developing this, I was trying to figure out what to call it. And I had this customer. I had a similar product from another supplier, and that didn't work out for me to keep getting it from that supplier. So I had to come up with my own, and I had to figure out the formula, and it took me months. I had to try it on my own laundry, and I don't have that much laundry. But anyway, so I had a customer who had ordered from the past version of this, tons and tons of it. And his name is Wiley, and he lives in Virginia. And I called him up and I said, Wiley, why do you buy so much of this? Are you using too much? Because you only need 1 tablespoon for an entire load, okay? And he's buying tons of it. And I said, I think you're using too much. You don't need to use a lot. And he said, no. He said, I live on a farm and we have cows and mud and dogs. And this is the only thing that gets the mud out. And so I said, well, I'm formulating another version of it. Can I name it after you? And he said, sure. So it's called Wiley's Wash Soap.
I like it, and with the upcoming possible mud flood, it's going to be in high demand.
It is. And actually, I have a friend who's a realtor, and she wears a lot of makeup. and she lives in LA and she wears a lot of white clothing. And she tells me that she's always getting foundation on her white blouses and
You know the solution for
hair.
that?
What, don't wear white?
Don't wear foundation.
I know,
Stop
but
wearing all that
sorry,
makeup.
David.
What's wrong with
I
you?
can't encourage all these women to stop wearing foundation. But anyway, she does. And she says, this is the only thing that gets it out.
Nice.
And no extra use of it, just 1 tablespoon. That's it. So I love Wiley's. I love smelling my clothes afterwards.
I have your stuff. I put it into a Tupperware. I have a soup spoon kind of, and I just toss it in, and it lasts forever.
Yeah, just you just eyeball it.
I eyeball.
Eyeball
I don't. I
tablespoon.
yeah. I have an actual Chinese soup spoon that I use.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah. That's good. So here, router guards. I should be like my fifth grade teacher who would say, people, you need to do this. So I have an EMF remediation page. And look at this, David. Who do you think this is?
Do I know who that baby is?
No. I couldn't get any neighbors to let me photograph their babies. What I did was I made a shielding blanket for babies from cell towers, cell phones, Wi-Fi. And all the shielding blankets sold for babies are very ugly. They're all gray. And I thought, well, can I do something better than this? So I decided to buy extra large bandanas, like really big ones. And I lined the other side with the shielding material. And that way, it's a conversation piece. You take your baby to the park and you cover her or him with this. It's very lightweight and they're protected. There's even a grounding version. You can clip a grounding wire to it, and I have a mini ground stake, and you stick that in the sand, in the grass or the sand of the park, and the other kids are playing, and your baby is being grounded
So,
outside.
so does it work when the baby is wrapped in it and playing with the mother's cell phone?
The baby doesn't play with the mother's cell phone.
Not what I see.
But
The
um,
park.
I did find a baby finally, and this is little Yolanda, 3 months old, all wrapped up. And so that's an intro. If you want to buy a shielding or grounding blanket for a small child,
It's
they
a
even
nice
have
gift. That's a nice little baby gift.
camouflage versions. Yeah,
And
and I made
and
a bandana for your head, David. You can, instead of those weird beanies, I have beanies too, but here's a friend of mine. He's wearing my shielding bandana. Look how cool it is. So you can do a bandana look, and it's washable. And here is the girls' version of it. You can see the shielding material on the inside. And
nice.
again, there's lots and lots of available colors. You can see hot pink, purple, navy. This is the black, red, white up here. Muted camouflage, all kinds of stuff. My house is a fabric. It's a fabric den. So here's the router guard. I just want people to know that I know how much everybody loves Wi-Fi and the convenience, and you can sit anywhere in your house with your laptop or your phone. Phones apparently don't work that well unless the Wi-Fi is on. So it's very important to understand that the Wi-Fi routers used to be less than 1 amp. And now they're drawing 5 amps from your breaker. 5 amps, that's 5 times higher. And they are emitting signal, if you measure it, that shows up on meters with lights as red. And red is very hazardous. It's like the C word causing. You don't want to have red flashing at your pillow when you sleep. You don't want to work in a red environment, right? So when you drop this very low tech bag over your router and there's a drawstring, you can pull it. You change that reading. It goes down into the orange yellow zone, which is considered tolerable. So that's zero point 0.2 volts per meter squared. It's way better for you than the red measurement, which is 1 volt per meter squared and higher. So your devices still get the wireless connection. And if you don't have enough connection, it's a no-brainer. You just open the drawstring a little bit on the router cover. And then at night, you definitely pull it tight. And this way, you're in an environment that you can regulate a little better. So I'm having a sale on these. They're not this is not like wiring, hard wiring. It's a compromise for the people who do not want to be a purist and hard wire. So it's a silver coated nylon mesh, and it is 99.9%, 99% effective from 10 megahertz to 3 gigahertz, that covers your Wi-Fi. And even at higher frequencies, it's still going to bring that reading down. So $45 for one, 40 each for two, 35 each for three. And then if you get four, you get a free copy of Arthur Firstenberg's book, The Invisible Rainbow, which is incredible book. Incredible. If you're a reader.
Nice. Let's go back to the four pillars, the four
Oh, wait,
corners of the
just
earth.
look. Here's my shielding beanie, David. I make them. It's a
Nice. I love
slouch beanie.
shielding beanies. When you put them on, I I get so mellow. I love them.
All right, well, when you wear yours out, get one from me. Look at all these
Okay.
patterns. You can get leopard, you can get camouflage, you can get plain. But yeah, let me know anytime, David. I'll gift you one.
Okay.
Okay, so and then I have shielding blankets. Let's just go through. And then here are my dirty electricity starter kits. We might do another show someday on some more of this stuff. So what else?
Sophia is a powerhouse when it comes to this radiation mitigation. She painted her room with grounding paint, and the paint is grounded.
Yes.
Yeah.
With shielding paint, what you have to do is it was done for purposes of shielding, but since the paint, it's a carbon containing paint and it's very expensive. So you have to really, it's better if you own the place. Don't do this if you're renting. And I hired someone who was professional to do this because it took 7 coats of paint. You do 2 to 3 coats of the shielding paint, and then you have to do 1 gray coat, primer gray coat, and then you have to do, my room is white, so I had to do like 3 coats of white. So enormous, enormous effort to do this. But because you're painting your room with this conductive material, it will pull the electric fields out of the walls and it will start making them all swim. And you're making an oven. So you could end up giving yourself some serious health problems unless you ground the paint. So the paint has to be grounded. But all those instructions are given to you when you buy this paint. And I don't sell it because it's very, very expensive. So
All
what do
right.
you want to know, David?
Well, let's talk about iodine. I think that's an important one. Again, another inexpensive um, thing that anybody can do. And whatever else you want to talk about.
Okay, well, let's start with magnesium. Magnesium is one of those elements. The Square of Health had it. It's missing from the soil. But the very good effect of magnesium is that it is essential for proper neurological functionality. And the best uptake method of magnesium is through your skin, not through your mouth and gut, because it promotes smooth muscle motility, meaning movement. So a lot of people who take magnesium orally, they end up having to go to the bathroom a lot, and the magnesium is gone. It spills out. And so you want to put magnesium where you have aches and pains and injuries because it really literally inflates the tissues and more nutrients get there, more wastes are removed, and there's tremendous pain relief with magnesium. So I
You,
have this great cream. Yes.
no, I was going to say, do you use it in combination with a little bit of DMSO?
You can. You can. I alternate, put magnesium and then put DMSO. You can try to mix DMSO into the magnesium cream. It's very rich, so I don't know, if it might mix well. I have a gel, magnesium gel, and I have an oil.
What I do is if I rub magnesium on and I have an injury, then I'll just get a little bit of DMSO and I'll rub it on top of it to really push it into my skin. And
Yeah.
it does it like instantly, instantly.
Well, one good thing about DMSO is it penetrates very fast, but it's also a carrier. So you want to have clean skin when you put it on.
Right.
So I do not use the DMSO with the magnesium cream because this magnesium cream has shea butter and other things in
Okay.
it.
That's why
And
I was
so I
asking.
just say use them, alternate is better. So there is a magnesium deodorant. Magnesium is antibacterial. So if you start using it in your armpits, and this is straight magnesium chloride brine, there's no difference between what's in this roll-on container and this bottle here. And the roll-on container is refillable. I finally found refillable roll-ons. So you can buy one And then you can buy a bottle of the oil. It's not really oil. They call it that because it's slippery. And you can refill it yourself. And I just reduced these prices because I got some better pricing. And here, everybody, because summer's coming, the zinc oxide body wash. So what is that? I don't use it as a body wash, but this is an excellent way, particularly if you're losing your hair or you have a shaved head or you have areas of your body that get a lot of sun exposure. Like I swim a lot, so my forearms, they fry in the summer and they get really dry. But what I do is I keep this body wash in the shower and I use a little dime-sized amount every day in the summer, and I just smush it on my arms, on the bridge of my nose, my forehead, my chest. Just put it on and it rinses off and it floats zinc oxide into your skin. And there you start having a buildup of zinc oxide, which acts as a little bit of sun protection. And then you're not going to burn. And it also really stops the skin from breaking easily when you get older. A combination of the magnesium cream and the zinc oxide in the shower really prevents that slicing and bleeding and bruising. That's what I've noticed. So this is very good, especially if you have a shaved head and you forget to bring your hat. Just use a little bit of this on your hair, or men who have thinning hair and exposed scalp, just use a little bit of this in the shower and you're not going to burn as much. Okay, so now iodine. I just got, how much time? Oh, here's sulfur. You can get
Yep.
sulfur 1 pound or 3 pounds. And menthol crystals, if you keep a little bag of them in your bed and you sniff them, you're going to really experience respiratory clearance.
Yeah.
It's like, have you
Now,
used them, David?
did I turn you onto them or did you turn me onto them? Because I've had them for years. I get little um I get buy little satchels, little material, like for jewelry
Sachet.
bags, and I put them in there, and we just keep them all over the house, and they're awesome. It's like
I turned you onto them.
it was
Yeah,
you, yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
it's like Vicks Vapor Rub, but without all the nonsense, and you just take a whiff, and it gets rid of headaches. It's absolutely amazing.
And also, the good thing about them is you can use them to deodorize drawers.
Right.
And if you have ants or anything,
Yep.
even I had a mouse once, and I just put menthol crystals on my countertop, and
They're
he
gone.
stopped coming around. Yeah,
Yeah. And you don't even have to clean them up because they
they
literally just
oxidize.
they oxidize and they disappear. I one morning, if you using it in the summer or when it's going to be warm, if you put it in your pocket, it's going to melt and it's going to feel
Yeah.
like you put a pound of Bengay on your leg or something. I was like, why is my leg on fire? Cold and hot at the same time. I'm like, oh, my menthol thing was in my pocket.
Yes, and David, if I keep a little sachet in my bed so I can sniff it during
Yep.
the night and
Yep.
when I go to sleep. And sometimes you'll just roll on it
Roll
and
on it and
lie on it.
and it melts on
And
you.
and then you wake up and you go, why is my chest on fire?
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's because that
Kind of
thing.
fun, kind of fun. I put it under my pillow during the day, so when I go to bed, I flip the pillow over, and it's got this nice, strong um, menthol.
Mental,
Yeah,
right.
so
So
that's excellent. Everybody order those. Those are amazing.
yeah, and you can order it from me to start, and then you can buy bulk size, somewhere else. But I have
Yep.
a lot of starter introductory stuff, and I think it's worth it to get the introduction and the information because I send information with everything. So here's Ion Skin Spray, which is really good. It boosts glutathione in the cells. You spray it on, especially in the summer, on your arms or your face. And here's the Ion Gut Support, which is extremely good. Um, but we're going to do a show about it another time. It's one of the more expensive things I sell, but you only take like a teaspoon or two a day. It's very good. So here's iodine, and I'm just going to show I have an extra strength Lugol's iodine. This is 5%. But if you're new to iodine, you really should not take 5%. You should take the 2%. These are the drops. I also have capsules. So the capsules are much stronger, and when you graduate, you can buy capsules and take those.
And how do
And
you take how do you take the liquid?
the liquid, I give a starter dosage guide. I really urge people to start with 1 drop on the first day. You just put it in a little bit of water and you chug it down. And it too is a little bitter, so you have to
Nah,
dilute
it
it
doesn't,
in
that, I
water.
disagree. It doesn't taste like anything. You don't even notice it.
David, I
It,
mean, if I got to the point where I was taking 20 drops a day, you can
well,
work
that
up.
you might taste, yes.
Yeah. But you don't start with that. It took me years. But if you look at iodine information, you really want to be taking plenty of drops by some point in your life. So you start with 1 drop for the first day, and then the next day you can do 2 drops. So my little formula, which a nutritionist who is iodine literate taught me, is 2 drops for 2 days, then 3 drops for 3 days, then you go to 4 drops and you stay there for a while. And then you can gradually, every couple of months, start to add a couple of drops. So I have magnesium iodine, which is straight iodine. And then I have Lugol's iodine, 2 kinds, the extra strength, which is 5%, and the regular 2%. And Lugol's iodine is a combination of potassium and iodine. It's called potassium iodide. And there are a lot of iodine therapists who say that you actually need the potassium, but then there's a club that's just iodine. They say, no, iodine alone is fine. So I combine them. I take some straight iodine and I take some potassium iodide. And once you get up in your quantity of drops, you can start combining. But whether you start with straight iodine or Lugol's iodine when you're a beginner, it doesn't matter. You're going to notice. So what are we going to notice, David? Do you know?
You tell me.
First of all, it's a lot like sulfur. Iodine is necessary for thyroid hormone production, and the thyroid produces 4 hormones, and they are called, in abbreviation, T1, T2, T3, and T4. And the 1, 2, 3, and 4 stands for the atoms of iodine in that type of hormone. So T4 is thyroxine, and that is the hormone that goes into your brain and regulates your brain. And that means it needs 4 atoms of iodine. But guess what? Because we don't have iodine in our soil, if you go to the beach and you inhale or you swim around in the water, it's in seawater. Kelp, the seaweed, actually stores iodine. That's why a lot of seaweed is dark brown, because iodine is dark brown. So anyway, the iodine becomes displaced. Now, there was a very calculated agenda put in place between the late, I think it was 1948, in 1948 to 1950 something, the Wolf-Chaikin papers. They demonized iodine, and this taught everybody who was in the medical profession to begin to believe that iodine was disruptive, that it was bad for you, when it's really good for you. And the whole plan was to introduce relatives of iodine. You get all this information in my iodine flyer that I send. So those bad, dangerous relatives of iodine are fluorine, chlorine, and bromine. And we've got fluorine, chlorine, and bromine in everything now. And it's what it's doing is it's knocking the iodine, the little iodine that we can get, gets displaced, kicked off our cells by the bromine, chlorine, and fluorine. Call them like the colonists. The colonists came in with their armada and they took up residence on the cell's receptors. And they said, we are bromine, fluorine, and chlorine, and iodine, you have no place here. So when you take quantities of iodine as you build up, the opposite happens. The iodine comes in and says, hey, I'm strong. I have lots of me right behind in a line, and you get off. And so it starts kicking fluorine, bromine, and chlorine off your cells. And this is why you don't want to take a lot of iodine at once, because it's so powerful that if you take an army of iodine, like let's say 10 drops on your first day, it will start displacing bromine, fluorine, and chlorine, and you will have effects of toxic
Is that called the
thing.
Herxheimer response?
Yes, yes. And you don't
Yeah.
want to put your body in a big
Right. It's like when very
flat.
obese people that eat a lot of Doritos, they go on a crash diet and they start burning fat, and that fat is hiding all of those toxins and it just starts releasing them and they get really sick.
Yes, so you want to take a little iodine and just get yourself used to it. So I also have a magnesium oral product, two of them. One is extended release capsules and the other is a liquid. And you can just do a squirt in tea or milkshake. And here's the magnesium cream again. So there we are, David. We have EMF remediation, grounding. Here's my newsletter. If you are a reader, I do have a very interesting newsletter. I'm now doing 6 issues a year. They're long, but they're fun to read. People really tell me that they have a binder and they put all my newsletters in the binder, or they take themselves out to dinner, or they curl up in bed and they start reading. And it might take several days, but to finish, but it's information that you can always go back to. So there is the newsletter. It's now in my store.
Very good, Sophia. You're always a bundle of information, and there's so much more we need to talk about.
Let's
But
look at grounding. We
yeah,
have a little time.
yeah, sure. We'll wrap it up with
Okay,
that.
so here's grounding. Here's the baby blanket, the grounding version. I couldn't get I was going to have to buy a stroller and put a baby doll in it or something. Some of these photos are hard to arrange. But okay, so here's the same blanket, but this has grounding material. You can see this corner I folded back. And here's the dual option grounding plug. Nobody else in the world sells that. Here is a little ground stake, and here's the wire. So when you take your baby to the park, you just clip this wire onto the grounding blanket, and you dig the ground stake into the ground, and the wire attaches, or you can do it inside with the dual option grounding plug. So I'll explain that in a minute. So here's the organic cotton grounding pad, and this is nice if you want to, put your feet or sit on something that's organic cotton. It has silver woven into it. And I have many, many, many lengths of cables, you can see. I have testers, I have with or without resistance. If you need help understanding which one you should buy, you should ask me. Oh, here we go. This is not.
How do they ask you?
Just with your order. I
Okay.
make an organic cotton grounding pillowcase. So you lie in bed and this is the grounding strip. There's a wire that attaches, and I have gotten strong fasteners. So even if you're a rough sleeper and you grab your pillow and crumple it up during the night, the fastener will stay on. Then I have a keyboard grounding pad. So you can put your hand on this and ground, and all of the electric fields that are electromagnetic fields that are being released by your computer and all the cords and things that are in a workspace, you can offload your body voltage. And the same with the bed strip. All you need is this little thin amount. You
We
don't
have
need
the
a
bed
whole
strip.
sheet. Yes. David was one of my early people that I tested a lot of this on. So if this grounds 2 people in the same bed. And I have silver, which I really recommend. If you're going to get silver anything for grounding, you've got to wash it in distilled water. But silver is odor resistant and antimicrobial, and it really doesn't need frequent washing. So, and I also have a bed strip made of silver, copper, and carbon, which is washable in tap water. So I say, don't wash these things a lot. Lots of cables. Here's the dual option grounding plug. I actually have this made by a company, but the traditional grounding products have 100,000 ohms resistance. That's just in case there's any little amount of voltage on your ground. When you plug into the ground port of your wall outlet, this is the scariest thing for new people to grounding, is you're putting a brass pin or a steel pin in your wall outlet, but it's going where the ground plug part of the plug goes, and there's no current on that. So the industry has set a threshold of 100,000 ohms buffer in their cables. But I also sell cables with no resistance and linear and different lengths. So the good news is you can do anything you want. There's a menu on my website that allows you to be very flexible and pick whatever length you want, whether you want resistance or not. And I can help you with that. Just email me. And here's the grounding cookie. You can sit at your desk if you don't want to use the keyboard grounding pad. You just stick this in your waistband.
I have that also. I'm
Yes,
standing on a
and
grounding pad right now. I stand on a wobble board that has a grounding pad on it.
guess who this is? This little monster.
Is that Naki?
Yes.
You know, Naki went for a walk with Beyond the Rainbow last year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Tell me.
That's
I'm
amazing
sorry.
that Naki's there. Oh my
Yes,
God.
this is the story. So I sent David the grounding cookie, this thing, with a cord on it. This was early in my grounding days. And he used to sit at his desk and on his couch and he would ground. And then one day, his cat found it. And this cat would put his paws. David sent me a couple of pictures of the cat having commandeered the grounding cookie. And he would stick his paws on it and glare at David and not want to move. So what do you think that tells you, David?
That he likes it, makes him feel good.
That's right. And he
His
figured it out
he
all by
did.
himself.
Yeah. He would sit on it all the time.
Yeah. So here I have the stainless steel grounding mat, which you could use for a dog or a pet because it is washable, easily washable. It's got stainless steel, not silver. And you can, if you have bare feet, it's another, easy grounding product to clean. Feet sometimes are oily. So that's it. So if you have any questions, support@avatarproducts.com. You can order by mail. I have a mail order form up here. And you can order, of course, online. Thank you.
And how do you take payment? You'll take, yeah, I know you'd like checks in the mail, but you'll take electronic payments also, I
Oh,
see.
yeah, of course. I mean,
Okay.
there are some people who just like to pay by mail. But definitely you can check out the normal way, and I have lots of different payment options. So it'll
Ver-
work.
Very good. It's interesting that truth seekers, which I will call you, you did some incredible documentaries back in the days of September in 2001 and after into Connecticut and other things. We all become like health analysts. It's interesting that those two things go together. I guess when you're looking for truth, you see through the lies of the big pharma world. You're muted.
David, I know that. You know that. But the average person is still walking around in a daze. I think the average person is so confused now by everything that they almost can't think. And they've been stupefied into joking. I mean, sometimes I'll run into a neighbor and I'm trying to explain iodine or something. Like they'll tell me they have some symptom, and I
They
go,
get
"Oh,
that
well,
fluoride stare because they don't have any iodine.
I'll tell them, oh, well, you might benefit from iodine," and they just look at me, deer in headlights.
Yep.
And then somebody comes by with a dog, and then it's like everything I've said is wiped out, and it's yeah, oh wait, let me see if I have a treat. So they get completely carried off by the presence of the neighborhood dogs, and I can't penetrate.
It's interesting. I would tell one more quick story about Sophia that stuck with me. I never mentioned. I mean, you'll remember it. I think is back in the days when I was doing Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, and Sophia, we talk a lot on the phone, and it might even been the same day that you told me to look into flat Earth. Is you said that in the future they're going to normalize pedophilia, and I said, now you've gone too far. That's never going to happen. And now look at it. It's the brunt of jokes now. It's become the brunt of jokes.
No.
It's incredible. But when she told me that, I was like, Sophia, that's impossible. That not even the evil elite. And that's how naive I was. But you nailed it. You've called these things decades in advance.
Yeah, and David also, when I saw the movie The Age of Transitions by a young kid called Aaron Franz in LA, and I realized what these futurists were trying to do, I connected that immediately with the stuff Clifford Carnicom was finding in the chemtrails, the artificial dried blood cells, and these were making their way into our bodies and setting up as filament structures in our body. And this was 2009 maybe or 8, and I went, that's it. This is the transhumanist agenda. They are embedding us with synthetic artificial biology. And I tried telling people, and they all thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that where are we today? Where are we today?
Now they admit that they're spraying this stuff in the sky and people still don't believe it.
No, I know.
It's because they don't have enough iodine, enough sulfur, and enough magnesium. If everyone would just take those things, we'd free ourselves.
So what I'm going to say is that when you take those things, and I say to everybody, start with one thing. You can buy different things at one time from my store. Like you can place an order and get 2 or 3 different things, but only start with one so that you can track what it's doing to you and then add in the other thing and then add in another thing. But when you do these, let's just say these amendments to and for your body, and you start rectifying its internal architecture and its ecology and chemistry, you're going to feel very different. Your brain is going to work differently. And what I've noticed with what you're implying with the average person is they might be able to see chemtrails once they start taking this stuff. I don't know if that's true or not, but you and I and our peers, once we start adopting some of these methodologies and therapies, we become happier and we become stronger and clearer. And I think that that fright and that nervousness and that anxiety starts to diminish because within ourselves, we're feeling a whole lot better and a lot stronger. And that changes everything.
I think it has a lot to do with the calcification, fluoridation of our pineal gland, and all of these things help decalcify that. And I'm big on distilled water, and the distilled water pulls that stuff out. And I've seen people, that do this protocol and drink distilled water, wake up. Literally, they couldn't understand anything, and then after they start doing these things and taking care of themselves, all of a sudden they can see.
But you have a distiller, right?
I do. I have a distiller.
And how much does it make every day?
I mix a gallon. I turn it on every night. It takes about 4 or 5 hours. And I wake up in the morning. There's a gallon of water. I pour it into blue bottles that have sacred geometry carved into them. So they're beautiful bottles. I put them on the windowsill so the sunlight goes through them. Sometimes I play music to them. And I do this. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. I got to put my headphones back on. So, about tones and sounds. This is my new tuning fork. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Can you hear that?
And you do that to your water,
I do.
and you drink it.
And I drink it. And I swear it tastes different, but I need to do a blind taste test. I might just be biased. This is 578 or 528, sorry. Totally calms you down. It's absolutely amazing.
Very nice, David. Okay, maybe you're not such a hustler after all.
I'm not a hustler.
If
Sophia,
you have time,
You know what's funny? I was a hustler. I did what everyone did, and I did everything for money. I went to college, got a job, and everything was for money. And I had my own business. And I was making tons of money. I walked away to be ridiculed and harassed and cut my income by 95%, because it wasn't about money. It's not about money, but I get accused of, even by my good friend Sophia, of being a hustler. I know you're half joking.
it's just the tone. That's all, David. You still talk fast.
Because I'm on the East Coast. We talk faster than the West Coast.
Maybe. That's true. All right. Well, David, I have enjoyed this show. I really appreciate that we've done this little discussion because I think we've been working on this for 2 years. 2 years, and suddenly you started recording again because you hadn't been recording for a long time. So it comes at a good time for me. I hope that I've helped listeners and they've enjoyed it. And I really thank you all if you've stayed this long for your patience.
And what the stuff that you're selling, it's all inexpensive. And that's not even comparing it to like if something goes wrong, the troubles that you have, shoulders, knees, all that stuff. It's essentially free. It's nothing. It's healthcare that you won't need healthcare because you took care of your health.
Well, you'll definitely lower your discomfort in many, many ways, and you'll start correcting. I had a friend with chronic tennis elbow, and he started using magnesium cream, and after 3 weeks, he said, I don't have tennis elbow anymore. So these are just anecdotal stories, but I've received a lot of these stories, a lot.
I'll end with this one. Is Paige said to me, she went away to visit a friend today. She goes, there's 14 reasons that I could leave you. And that's not to mention your obsession with tennis. I said, that's 15, love.
Is that it? That's the story?
That's the joke. See, telling jokes to Sophia is the biggest nightmare in the world. She said there's 14. No, none of that's true. I make it up. Look, there's 14 reasons I'm going to leave you, and not including your obsession with tennis.
I understand.
You say it's 15. See, I thought after all these years I could tell a joke and make Sophia laugh, and it has not happened yet. It has not happened yet.
David, when you say this, I'm picturing Paige. I have a movie going in my brain.
And you're like, well, I can see 14.
And then I'm thinking, does he play tennis? I'm a very literal person.
I know. That's why telling jokes to you is the worst. It's the absolute worst.
That's why the stuff on my website works, because I'm literal. It works. Okay.
Anybody can use that joke. It actually goes over funny if you don't tell it to Sophia. All right. Thanks, Sophia. It was fun.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone.
All right. See ya.
Parasites and pathogens only thrive in a body that's acidic, low in oxygen, inflamed and electrically disorganized. In that terrain, blood thickens, cells lose potential, and the immune system becomes overburdened, opening the door to disease. The plasma geo shifts this completely. By surrounding the body with a coherent, negatively charged electromagnetic field, it restores cellular resonance and balance. When the body interacts with this field, water and proteins reorganize, restoring membrane potential. Blood thins, microcirculation improves, and oxygen delivery rises. Inflammation decreases, and pH returns to its natural alkaline range. In this environment, parasites can't survive. The terrain no longer supports them. But here's the key. It's not the device that kills them. It's the body itself. Once bioelectric coherence is restored, the body's own intelligence recognizes what doesn't belong and eliminates it. So if someone asks, does the plasma geo kill parasites? The most accurate answer is, it doesn't kill them directly. It gives the body back its ability to heal itself. By restoring balance and order, the body regains control and health returns naturally.